Hi everyone, I'm Airier, and today we'll check out the classic summarized from Odyssey Sarcastic production, specifically the Odyssey, which I have known about. I know the joke here. He's Solid Snake. I know Odysseus is going to be Solid Snake. I get that. This is apparently the video where that started, and I probably should have watched this significantly sooner, so I'm very out of order on this. Also because I'm pretty sure I saw the Aeneid already, which makes this weird. I'm only getting to this now. My stupidity aside, you guys know the deal. There's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. It's Overly Sarcastic Productions. I know this is going to be great. You probably know it's going to be great. And if you don't, that's why the link below exists. Also, if you've already seen it, maybe do it again, because why not? YouTube, do it anyways. I'll see you guys at the end of the video. Or, well, no, I'll see you in like 5 seconds, because we're going to do that as well. Yeah, it'd be really weird if you skip just to see me talk at the beginning and the end. I mean, I'm not complaining, but also I'm kind of questioning why. That would be weird. Just a bit.
So, the Odyssey, or as I like to identify it, Troy's Story 2, is something of a sequel to the Iliad, chronicling the various happily ever afters, or otherwise, of our favorite Greek hero.
Wait, who is that? I think I recognize this one. Someone with an axe and 2 people overlooking him. Oh, yeah. That
otherwise, of
hero.
our favorite Greek heroes.
Achilles.
But really, what it's mostly about is how much the universe hates Odysseus and wants him to suffer for as long
And
as
somehow he
humanly
still made it
possible.
through.
Seriously, in the 10 years it takes him to get from Troy to
Oh,
Ithaca, this guy gets put through more.
Wait, seriously, that's how far it was? For some reason, I'll be honest, I thought Ithaca was like on one of the islands further out and way harder to get to. It's like, yeah, he still has to go around the coast, but yeah, that is, I guess, 3,000 plus years ago. That would be a lot farther. I don't know how long ago the Hellenistic or pre-Hellenistic Greek society was, so I don't really know how far back this was.
Ithaca, this guy gets put through more crap than a 20-pound bag of industrial-strength Huggies sized for incontinent bulls. So the Odyssey begins with our hero, who's...
I just want to thank Red for not actually putting up an image of that. Because my mental one is bad enough, but if she gave some kind of specific guidance, it would be worse. Why?
Been stranded on an island for 7 years with no company other than a gorgeous, lonely, immortal goddess by the name of Calypso. Terrible, right? Well, actually, it...
Wait, what did he say? Oh, if only I had someone to comfort me. Oh no.
Right? Well, actually, it does kind of suck for him, because what he wants more than anything is to get back home to Ithaca, specifically back to his lovely wife Penelope and his now adult son Telemachus, who Odysseus hasn't seen since he was a baby. And in fact, the story initially focuses on these two. See, since almost everyone thinks Odysseus is dead, Penelope's now widely...
Wait, what did it say? Tragically kingless. Oh wait, he was a king? Oh, honestly, I thought he was just like the equivalent of a mayor. Which would be a king in a city-state, yeah.
Dead. Penelope's now widely...
9 years ago. That does explain this, because the proportions are very different from how Red did things later, in the sense that her arm isn't cut off at the elbow in later art. Wow.
Considered to be Ithaca's most eligible bachelorette, and as a result, she's got more than 100 potential suitors queuing up in her castle, demanding that she pick one of them to marry her and become the new king. Her son Telemachus is none too pleased about the suit.
Get out of my house! But your food is really good, and your mom's super hot. Ah ha 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 ha. Yeah, see, here's the thing. I've never read this because I can't stand the old writing poetic forms, especially when they're translated, so any of the rhyme and meter that might have made it good is gone. But I know of this because of Wishbone. I fully acknowledge my entire understanding of this is based on Wishbone. Normally this is where I say, from FGO. No, it's not even that. I know that FGO had nothing on the actual story. This is all based on Wishbone. And if you don't know what that is, it's probably a 90s thing. And there's definitely clips you can find of it on YouTube. And they're worth it. They're just involves cute little dogs role-playing as histories, protagonists and villains. And it's adorable. It's really cute.
Suitors throwing a never-ending frat party in his house. Now, by the time our story begins, most of the gods have decided...
Yeah, you can definitely tell this is older because the style of art has changed so much. Mostly because some of them look way more sane. Like, you can still see who they are, but the descriptions of them, like the various images are... Sorry, this is actually hilarious to me. They just look so different, but also, like, I could tell how the art style changed from there. And, of course... Crazy love goddess is enjoying us.
That poor Odysseus has suffered enough at this point. So Athena disguises herself as a dude, drops down into Ithaca, and then tells Telemachus, "Hey, your dad's alive. Maybe you should go try and find out where he is." So Telemachus, who's a pretty...
Wow, gods erupt from the woodwork at regular intervals. This guy gives me a funny but totally straight feeling. Mysteriously appears from nowhere. Has no business being here anywhere. Word, color palette on never, never seen ham before. Mayrick smoke still disputing. I hate cursive.
Kid
I don't even think that's
immediately figures
cursive.
out that this dude is actually a god.
Include
and must
God.
insert a word. But before he leaves, Telemachus tries and fails
Get
to
out.
kick the suitors out of his house. And they're like, ooh, is widow baby Telemachus?
Lol, whatever. Kid Wits Zoe thinks he owns the Pala. What? Won't. But don't. He technically own the kingdom. Shit. Ha. Ha 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 ha.
Is gonna fight us, and Telemachus is like, "Shut up! I'm gonna find my dad, and he's gonna beat you up." So Telemachus
didn't realize he had
secretly
any point to
assembles a
this.
small loyal crew, acquires a ship, and sets off in search of news. The first place he goes is Pylos, home to King Nestor. So Telemachus is like, "Hey, do you have any idea where my father is?" And Nestor's like, "Well, let me think back to when I last saw him. All right, it was 9 years ago during the Trojan War. Agamemnon and Menelaus were arguing, which had split the army down the middle. So Odysseus, Diomedes, Menelaus, and I took our armies and left. Although Odysseus
I'm sorry, just. Yeah, Solid Snake. I still love this.
did turn back to head off Agamemnon, and that's the last time I saw him.
Why
I
did
don't
he
know
head
what
off
happened after that,
Agamemnon?
though. Maybe you should go talk to Menelaus, see what he has to say about the matter. So Telemachus goes off to Sparta and meets with Menelaus and Helen, now happily remarried, and Telemachus is like, yeah,
She lived? Oh. I don't know why, but I always thought Helen died at Troy with everyone else. Huh. That's news to me. I did not know that.
can you tell me where my dad is? And Menelaus is like, first let me tell you my story. Okay, so I was marooned on this tiny island off the coast of Egypt,
Still
right?
better
When
than
this
Agamemnon.
goddess shows up, and she's like, hey, you should talk to my dad, Proteus. He'll tell you how to get out of here. So I went off and tackled the guy, but he starts shape-shifting, right? But he can't shake me that easily. So we got tired of that pretty quick, and he was like, screw it, what do you want? And I was like, do your thing, oh god of telling me stuff. And he's like, fine, you're stranded here because you forgot to sacrifice to Zeus before you left. Also, Ajax the Lesser drowned, Agamemnon's dead, and Odysseus is stranded on Calypso's
Lucky dog, alright? Oh, because he actually wants to go there, yeah.
island. And Telemachus is like, that's literally all I needed to hear. But back in Ithaca, the suitors have learned that Telemachus left to find news of Odysseus, and they find this very offensive for some
There is only one logical conclusion. Was that?
reason, so they start plotting to kill him as soon as he gets back. Man, Penelope sure knows how to
I didn't pick anyone. They just showed up.
pick him. Now, on Zeus's orders, Calypso finally
Okay, Calypso. Orders from up top. You have to let the man go now. No! Damn it, woman, I'm married. Oh yeah, that actually is the plot point. Monogamy without cheating. You know, this seems like a very straightforward, normalized take on this. So much so that I'm kind of wondering if that was Christianized later on whenever the church decided to revamp some of the stories, because I know they did that with King Arthur stories, with a lot of various narratives, the surviving text from the Norse, like 2 books of it, and then all the various stories covering it had that aspect. So I'm wondering, because in a lot of the Greek culture, being in love with your wife causes things like Troy. Although this was pre-Hellenistic, so maybe that's the change in culture that was more that way. Because I know in Hellenistic, being in love with a woman was kind of a sign of, oh, pervert. And, you know, there was a lot of cheating and a lot of other fuckery. I don't mean that figuratively. So it's kind of weird that it matches up with our current morals so much. And by current morals, I mean the more classical current morals, which is weird. If it's a thing, Red will get into it. Otherwise, maybe it's just an anachronism that isn't an anachronism.
Calypso finally lets Odysseus go, so he heads off homeward on a raft.
Oh,
but
man.
Poseidon, who's holding a grudge against him for reasons that'll be explained later, notices that he's
He probably
trying to
killed
escape
someone.
and whips up a huge storm in an effort to drown him. But Odysseus is far too badass to let a little thing like drowning get him down, and he's
Is that like, come fight me IRL? It's like, oh, that guy, he was stuck with that beautiful woman who's immortal and wants to bang him. How horrible that he would try and leave. You know, I'm saying this is a joke, but I know there's someone out there going, right, right. Yeah.
Doing pretty well for himself when yet another goddess shows up, gives him a magic anti-drowning scarf, and then vanishes. And Odysseus is like, huh, why would I need this when I have a...
They gave him a floaty. They gave him a magic god floaty. Oh,
perfectly
God. Does it have
serviceable
wings?
raft. Okay then. So Odysseus swims all the way to nearby
and that's where he gets the headband.
Into the forest and passes out. So Athena, always looking out for Odysseus,
zips
over to the city and tells the princess Nausicaa, hey, you should go down to the forest.
Wait, Nausicaa?
Like,
really?
Idea. So she heads over to the forest and finds Odysseus, just like Athena planned. So Nausicaa brings him back to her parents, the king and queen, and Odysseus tells them the story of how he came to...
Basically, my crew were all idiots. I mean, by comparison to him, kinda everyone is, so...
to be stranded on Calypso's island. So it's...
Oh, so that's how it worked. It was a story within a story. So you're getting the story of the son, and then you find out the story of Odysseus after he gets off.
Just after the Greeks have sacked...
Aye, what did I tell you about the stupid horse? My flesh. Boy, I sure do love wanton violence. It's Agamemnon, isn't it?
Troy, and Odysseus advises the others
so
to quit while they're ahead
7?
and sail back to Greece. But of course, they don't listen to him, and by next morning...
Wait, what did that say? What's that? I can't hear you over how awesome I... It's definitely Agamemnon.
him, and by next morning they're
Screws
overrun by a
nothing.
retaliatory force. Odysseus and some of the others take the ships to escape, but Zeus is angry at the Greeks for their poor
that's just
sportsmanship and sends a huge storm to blow them off course. Odysseus and his crew are swept far out to sea, and that's when the weird stuff starts happening. So first, they wash up at the land of the lotus.
Oh, yeah, the various
which is
islands we went to. This part I
populated by
know.
these really mellow dudes who eat lotuses. Anyone who eats a lotus mellows out and wants to stay there forever, so of course most of his shipmates eat them, and Odysseus has to drag his idiot crew back to the ships by force.
And if he left them behind, they probably would have been better off.
So they set out again.
Stay
only
away,
to
don't
wash
touch
up
the
on
sheep.
The island of the Cyclops,
Oh, yeah,
where they
Cyclops.
see a nice-looking cave surrounded by delicious-looking flocks of sheep. Unfortunately, the cave is home to a large, hungry Cyclops by the name of Polyphemus, who seals them in with an enormous rock, kills 2 of the crew, and then falls asleep. Since they can't kill him without trapping themselves in the cave, they bide their time until the next night, when Odysseus gets Polyphemus drunk, introduces himself as Nobody, and then when...
Wait, he actually introduced himself as Nobody? By the way, name's Nobody. Your name is stupid, but your booze is good. Huh. Was he famous enough the Cyclops would have known him?
Nobody, and then when Polyphemus passes out, they take a large wooden stake and stab out his eye. So Polyphemus is like,
Yeah.
Oh, nobody blinded me.
and all his Cyclops friends are like,
Yeah, you're hilarious. Polyphemus is nobody stealing your flocks too.
So Polyphemus opens the cave to check, and Odysseus and remaining crew bolt for the
The
ships.
sheep.
Then Odysseus, remember the wisest of the Greeks, takes it into his head to taunt the Cyclops. So he's like, hey, guess what, dumbass? My name's not Nobody. It's Odysseus. And Polyphemus is like,
Dad, Odysseus gouged out my eye.
so funny
Yeah. He's the wisest of the Greeks. He decided to mock the guy outside of deified range. Oh, yeah, there's a god involved. He thought he was out of range of throwing rocks and dying from being eaten. Forgot about the deified stuff.
story. All Cyclopses are children of
Don't
Poseidon.
ask.
So Poseidon hears about this, and he's
Don't worry, son. Daddy will make the bad man pay. I mean, you could fix his eye.
like, oh, really? Time for some disproportionate retribution. So after that point, he
Unnecessary
starts trying to make
complicated.
Odysseus' journey home just as difficult as godly possible. So after that little adventure, they land on the Aeolian island, where the king
I would not be able to spell that. Oh, God. Free of charge.
very nicely gives them a magic leather pouch full of wind to speed them on their way home. But we
Trying to
can't give
kill us.
Odysseus a break just yet. They're maybe 10 feet off the coast of Ithaca when his idiot crew decides that the magic bag has gold in it and busts it open. The resulting hurricane sweeps them all the way back to the Aeolian island. So Odysseus is like, hey, got another one of those magic wind bags? But the king's like, not for you, dude. You've got to be super cursed to have that bad luck. Get off my
I mean, he's not wrong. Also, his entire crew is a bunch of idiots. I didn't realize they got that close.
island. So next, they arrive on the Lastrygonian island, populated
What does that say? Lastrygonian. We promise we won't eat ya. Oh, that makes sense.
entirely by cannibal giants. When they start eating the majority of Odysseus' crew, Odysseus and the other survivors get out of there as fast as
And
humanly
no-
possible.
You know, I was always wondering why he was so okay with his crew dying. I think I know why now. The bag of wind. That's why. At this point, it's comeuppance.
Next on this mythological island world tour, they come to the Aeaean island, where Circe, the daughter of Helios, lives. Circe is a sorceress, and
Wait, really? She's the daughter of Helios? Oh. I didn't realize that part. Nefarious glitter of doom, magic sparkles.
sorceress and some wicked hankering for bacon.
Wow, this island is a paradise. So cool. Look at all the animals.
It makes her take it into her head to turn Odysseus' rapidly dwindling crew into pigs. Odysseus learns of their tragic swinification and resolves to rescue them. So Hermes gives Odysseus some anti-magic drugs so that Circe won't be able to enchant him. You know, for someone who the gods supposedly hate, Odysseus sure does seem to get a lot of help from them. So Circe
I mean, it seems like Poseidon hates him. So far, everyone else is like, okay, yeah, this is just funny. I think it's less hatred and more he interests them, which is probably worse.
she's like, here, have some enchanted booze. And Odysseus is like, awesome.
Challenge
drinks it,
accepted.
fails to turn into a pig, and then draws a sword on her. So she's like, wait, I'm a mage. I have like 2 hit points. And he's like, then I suggest you turn them back before I have to whittle that number down to 0. So she does, and then they all chillax on the island for like a year. So then Odysseus
Oh, yeah, they did do that. Which means they probably would be safer off just staying around her. Oh, shit, I forgot about Ithaca. Yeah, remember that part where your crew screwed you over? This one's on you.
is like, yeah, we should probably be getting back. And Circe's like, well, fine with me, but first you gotta go talk to Tiresias. I mean,
Who?
he's the one who knows how to get you home. Oh yeah? Where can I find him? He's dead. So Odysseus and crew sail down to Hades. They do this wacky ghost summoning ritual, which ends up attracting a few other ghosts they weren't looking for. And then Tiresias shows up. He's like,
Oh.
what's up, Odysseus? Poseidon's determined to screw you over, but you all might make it back as long as you don't harm Helios's pet cows that can be found on Thrinacia. If you do,
Go ahead and take a wild guess what his crew does next. Not him, his crew.
though, your entire crew will die and you'll be home, like, super late. And Odysseus is like, cool, you heard the man, folks. No hurting the cows. Then
No,
Odysseus has
no,
a
they
little
didn't.
touching reunion with the ghosts of all his now-dead Greek war buddies. Like Agamemnon, very grumpy at
Oh, hey, look who's not dead yet.
being dead. Achilles and Patroclus, now
Oh, wow, they get to actually be together. It's guy love between 2 guys.
hetero death partners. And great Ajax.
I'm sorry, what? What was that? Oh my god, she did the hyper close-up shot. I wasn't sure what I was looking at first because it's all the same color. It's like, no, they're right there together.
And great Ajax. Then
Sup? Pissed at Odysseus for reasons too complicated for this video. Yeah, he's very tricksy, so it makes sense.
Ajax. Then Odysseus sails out of Hades and back to Aeia, where Circe maps out the route back to Ithaca, which for some reason is extremely densely populated.
Wow, Circe's surprisingly helpful, actually. Huh. Oh snap, laser beast. My god, not the laser beast. Did someone say Kraken? Isle of Thracica? Inexplicably Minotaur. Here there be Charybdis. Here there be Scylla. Scalia? Oh, hi, Cetus. Rar. Here there be sirens. Maybe a few dragons. Reverse centaur. Home. Better throw a chimera or something. What am I?
By monsters. So first, they find the island of the Sirens, who sing so beautifully that anyone who hears them will be entranced, jump off the boat, and swim to their deaths. So the crew block their ears with beeswax and keep rowing, but Odysseus is really determined to hear their song, so he has them tie him to the mast so he can listen without doing anything stupid.
Really? Oh. What? This is my best idea since the thing with the golden horse. With the giant wooden horse. I thought they said golden for a second. Or glint wooden horse, but that didn't make sense.
The Sirens are like,
Oh
Odysseus
my.
is like, release me, I must hear their dulcet tones up close.
Disco
And his crew's
fever.
like, what? So they get out of earshot of the Sirens, only to
that's
encounter
over.
the monsters Scylla and Charybdis. So Scylla is one ugly piece of work. She's a 6-headed monster at the top of a giant craggy cliff, whose heads reach all the way down to the ocean to devour any unfortunates who
How many guys were like, I haven't seen a woman in years. And the other one we saw was technically a witch who turned us into pigs. There's no metaphor in there, definitely. I'm into this.
happen to drift too close. Charybdis is like a combination garbage disposal and malfunctioning garbage disposal
Sandworm
that
of
sucks
the
in
sea.
the ocean and then spits it back out again. So, as they're trying to find a way to sail between the two without running into either the cliff or Charybdis, Scylla eats 6 of his crew members. On the bright side,
I think they're
his
too close.
mouths are full, so she can't eat any more of them. So Odysseus and crew take the opportunity to gun it between them. They finally come across Thrinacia.
The best part is, they haven't even fucked up with the bull yet. And they're just losing everyone. How big was this ship? Because I didn't think Greek boats at the time were that big. I've just had about enough of this stupid ocean. If it helps, you're actually not in the ocean. You're in the Mediterranean Sea. It's smaller. Significantly smaller. Doesn't make it any easier to cross, though.
More easily pronounced as the Island
Actually,
of the
kinda
Sun,
does, but-
where, despite Odysseus' prophecy-based protests, they land and rest for the night. But then, Zeus strands them on the island for
Ain't
more
I
than
a
a month.
stinker.
At this point, the food Circe gave them starts to run out, and Eurylochus, a somewhat mutinous crew member who's inexplicably survived everything up till this point, is like, hey,
Seriously?
what if we sacrificed one of these lovely golden cows to the gods? We'd get to eat it and leave the island. And Odysseus is like, damn it, what did Tiresias say? And Eurylochus is like, oh wait, too late, I seem to have killed one. So
Oh
when they
my
finally
God.
set sail, Zeus hits the ship with lightning. The boat explodes, the entire crew dies, and Odysseus is left clinging to a single timber from the boat, silently contemplating where everything went wrong.
Admittedly, he's probably safer off without them. And ain't that the truth? Not terrible enough yet?
Then, adding insult to injury, Zeus sends a wind to blow Odysseus back to Charybdis, who eats the rest of the boat. A few hours later, when Charybdis pukes up the timber, Odysseus hops onto what's left of the boat and paddles the hell out of there. 9 days later, he washes up on the shore of Calypso's island, and the rest is questionably reliable history. So Odysseus finishes telling his story, and the king is like, dang, dude. Want a boat? And Odysseus is like, yes, please. So the king gives him a ship and crew, along with a few tons of fine treasure.
Because at this point, you're just bribing the gods just to let him get through.
And Odysseus naps all the way back to Ithaca. And who can blame him? So that's the end, right? He's made it back to Ithaca, so that's it, right?
This part I know about.
Nope, we're barely halfway through this book. Come on!
Wait, it was only halfway?
A break.
Whoa, this is how Red used to draw herself? Whoa, bigger fangs. Huh.
So Odysseus is finally home in Ithaca, but there's one small problem.
Everything's
the suitors
fine.
are still making trouble all up in his backyard.
Yeah.
But Athena, as always, has a plan. She magically
not my
disguises
dude.
him as an old man, then goes off to Sparta to...
But wouldn't he already be an old man at this point? I mean, he had to be at the youngest in his teens when he left. That's creepy in its own right. There's like a decade after that, so he'd be 20s to 30s. Yeah, oh, and then there's how long the Trojan War lasts, so 30s to 40s. What do they consider old anyways? I actually don't know. Did you just change my hair? Why not? Why would you do that? Oh, because he's used to having the band.
bring Telemachus home for the
With his
reunion.
floaty.
Odysseus, now disguised, goes off to talk to
Start
some loyal
plotting.
swineherd. Meanwhile, in Sparta, Athena's like, yo, Telemachus, get your butt home. So Telemachus sets sail for home,
Oh, he was in
along with
Sparta?
several gifts from Menelaus and Helen. Oh, and he's also joined by this dude, Theoclymenus, who's a prophet and a fugitive from Argos. While Odysseus and the swine
Argos? I thought Argos was a cyclops that had multiple eyes. Or not a cyclops, a giant or a titan with multiple eyes. No, that's Argus. Never mind. That's completely different. And this one time, my entire crew got turned into pigs. Yeah, funny how that happens.
swineherd bond, Telemachus and Theoclymenus arrive at Ithaca, and knowing that the palace
Rational
isn't
thought alert?
necessarily safe for either of them, immediately head off to the friendly neighborhood swineherd's house. So Telemachus is
Oh.
like, swineherd, my man, how are things up at the castle? And the swineherd is like, oh, still pretty bad. And Telemachus is like, oh, good, nothing's changed. And Odysseus is like, come on, kid, man up. Why are you letting these suitors strut around your house as if they own the place? I mean, if I were,
Violence?
say, the king himself, returned in secret from all my, his travels, why, I'd strut right in there and kill all of them. And Telemachus is like, yeah, you're right.
I have to do a thing and not be in this next scene. Oh, the prophet, yeah.
It's just too bad you're not him. And then Athena's like, hey, Odysseus, I've decided you should reveal yourself to your son, and rips the illusion off of him.
Boink.
So Odysseus is like, hey, son, I'm
Wait, what did she say? Where'd my armor come from? Plot.
like, hey, son, I'm home. And
Sorry, I'm late.
Telemachus is like, Dad! And it's all super heartwarming. Pause for a moment to absorb the feels. So Odysseus and Telemachus
So front will, yeah, and then I come around the left. You'll grab the thing and I'll, yeah, so then I have no idea if I read that right.
start plotting
Her
their revenge on the
writing
suitors. Meanwhile,
is
back
gotten
in
a
the
lot
castle,
neater.
Penelope and the suitors, a good name.
Ooh, I clacked out. Hey, anyone, you think we should try and find Telemachus? Nah, pass the beef, yeah.
Suitors, a good name for a band, by the way, learn from the swineherd that Telemachus is back, and the
Oh,
suitors are like,
wow, she's
damn it,
back,
our ambush has failed. Guess we better kill him right here before he can tell everyone that we tried to kill him. And Penelope is like, what? How dare you plot to kill my son? And they're like, what? No, we didn't say that. And she's like, oh, okay. So the next day, Telemachus returns to the palace, while Odysseus, once again disguised as a beggar,
good,
goes
more of
into
this.
town. So Telemachus tells Penelope about his journey, although he
And then Menelaus shouted a lot. He tends to do that. Was also very helpful, though. Which is probably a good thing that he survived and Agamemnon didn't.
leaves out the part about Odysseus, and his new prophet buddy, Theoclymenus, is like, the really weird thing is, I'm getting a sense that Odysseus is here in Ithaca. And Penelope's like, man, that's just ridiculous. Meanwhile,
He's not even telling a prophecy. He's just telling her the facts.
Odysseus and the swineherd head for the palace, where the disguised Odysseus is immediately recognized by his old dog, Argos.
Puppy!
This story is so adorable.
Wait. That dog survived how long? You're really back. I was beginning to think you're never gonna make it. Okay, how long was the Trojan War versus the 8 to 9 years he was drifting back? Almost a decade? That is a very old dog. To give an idea, the average mutt with good health can live maybe up to 17 years. And that is a very, very healthy, long-lived dog. This dog had to be a puppy when he left. That is impressive. Either that or they estimate a dog's life was as long as we need it narratively. Kind of like how you've had the same goldfish named Mr. Fuzzles for the last decade. I can't be the only one naming a goldfish Fuzzles. That's not weird at all. I don't care what anyone else said. It was a perfectly justifiable name.
Then the dog dies.
Oh. Oh, shit.
Why? So Beggar Odysseus.
I mean, admittedly, a dog living that long is actually more unbelievable than the dog dying, because that's fucked up. But also, yeah, spare some food for the hungry.
Odysseus begs scraps of foods from the suitors, who generally oblige, except for this one guy who throws a stool at him. So the suitors get pretty boozed up and start talking smack to Odysseus, but then Telemachus is like, sleep it off, you drunks, and they all go to bed. Then Odysseus and Telemachus put their plan into motion. First, they hide all the suitors' armor and weapons upstairs.
Oh.
Then Odysseus goes to talk to Penelope, who he promises that before the end of the month, Odysseus will return. Hint,
you could just tell them?
Penelope asks Beggar Odysseus if he thinks she should remarry, and Odysseus is like, no.
Oh, she figured
I'm
it
sure
out.
Your husband will be back real soon to murder all your suitors. Don't sweat it. And she's like, man, I don't know. Tell you what, tomorrow I'll hold a contest among the suitors and anyone else who wants to try, and only a man just like Odysseus will be able to win and become
She figured it out. She's having fun with him.
Like, that's a great plan. Do exactly that. So the next day, all the suitors...
I think I get why they like each other. They're both just as tricksy. Why doesn't the contest have to be early? Shut up, my head hurts. What was that?
assemble, still trying to figure out how to
And he takes after
murder
them both by being
Telemachus, when
tricksy.
Penelope unveils her secret plan.
Here's
So,
the plan.
some context. Odysseus had this crazy strong recurve bow. It was
Oh?
a really cool bow, but it was a present and he never ever took it to war. So it was
Oh.
still locked up safely in the palace basement when he left for Troy. Now, this bow is ridiculously strong, but Odysseus never had any trouble dealing with it because, as mentioned previously, he's a badass. So Penelope's like,
Yeah.
all right, everyone, no more delays.
These
I'll
are
marry the man who
mofos.
can string this bow most easily and then use it to shoot through these 12 axe heads. Now, this bow has a
Damn.
draw strength of something
Wait, through the axe heads? Oh, see, I thought I recognized that. Is this a standard design to save metal? See, I don't know anything about historical axes, so I have no idea if this is accurate or not. Is that just a standard Greek design? I mean, it's fancy either way, and they could just have it because narrative, but I don't actually know anything about weaponry at this time. It's one of those things I kind of want to look up but never got around to.
12 axe head. Now, this bow has a draw strength of something like 500 pounds, so none
God
of the suitors
damn!
can even bend the bow far enough to string it. And then beggar Odysseus is like,
Hey,
hey,
boys,
just
mind
for
if I
kicks,
take
can
a
I look
turn?"
at that bow? And the suitors are like, sure, this is gonna be good. And then, of course, Odysseus strings the
But
bow
he
easily.
just- yeah.
Then he casually shoots an arrow through all 12 axes, and then it's murder
Hi, you're in my house. Get out of my swamp.
in time. Odysseus reveals
I'm
himself in
back,
all his
baby.
glory. The suitors start panicking, and Odysseus and Telemachus
So, really? So they stole the clothing, the weapons, the armor, so they can't fight back now. This is just them showing off. This is literally just them showing off, and honestly, it makes perfect sense. After all the bullshit he went through, he's earned this. So I think we're in trouble. Back away slowly and don't make eye contact. Guys, he's looking this way.
panicking, and Odysseus
You
and
dead.
Telemachus engage in some healthy father-son
I
bonding
miss
by
you, Dad.
killing nearly all of them. After wreaking
Showtime.
bloody vengeance on his enemies, and then after a nice long bath, Odysseus is finally reunited with Penelope.
The bath was
Then
probably
Athena
important.
persuades the entire rest of Ithaca not to take vengeance on Odysseus for killing.
Oh, yeah. No, he has worked too hard for this to let something like consequences ruin it. Also, because he just killed all of the guys there, and if they want to take it out on him, he could probably kill them all.
The entire noble population, and they all lived happily ever after.
Oh, wow. He actually solved every problem they had by getting rid of all the nobles. He really was the best king. Okay, I mean, as crazy as it is, I didn't realize all of the trip back was only the first half of the book, and the second half was just the revenge plotline. And frankly, I love this. Again, when I saw Wishbone, the first half was always just getting back, and the second half was mostly getting back. And he got the bit at the end where he comes back and tricks everyone, and then he just gets the win, gets come back home. I know I'm still referencing Wishbone. It was an amazing show, and I'm going to have nothing about anyone who says otherwise because they obviously haven't seen the show. Otherwise, they would know better. More importantly, though, this is so cool because I've never seen something this old from Red, although I might have it. It didn't look this way, but her art style is so distinct, and you can see how it started here, but then it transferred into what we know out of the very recent thing she's animated, and it's kind of crazy to see that progression. Crazy when you realize that used to be her handwriting. I am using the term handwriting loosely here because that looked like something I would write if I put significant effort into making it slightly legible. Yeah, there's a reason I type mostly. More importantly, though, this was fun, man. I thought they'd play more into why he has all that, like, Solid Snake vibe. But no, apparently it was just not even there. He just had the band on. They got a new band to replace it, which basically his anti-drowning thing, which, admittedly, if he can't drown, he probably could have just swum all the way back, but that defeats the point of the story. All the things aside. This was fun, man. I liked how we got just to throw it all down. And when they finally got there, Red just had fun showing, oh, whoa, you're not my husband? Well, if only a man would be able to do this. Take the hand. It's so cute to see that. And she portrayed it really well. And I like this. I almost want to listen to this on tape, except I know for a fact I would hate every second of it. Maybe someone did an updated play version. I might enjoy that. Actually, that sounds really fun. I have to double check. Not sure if anyone does that. Man, whatever. That's a future problem. Currently, though, if you guys haven't already, there's a link below to the original video. Hit it up. I need to go see more of the old classics they've done before seeing some of the new stuff. There's so much. Red and Blue have just done an amazing job pulling so many stories together. I just absolutely love it. And also, I've been watching a lot of these paired with Simon Whistler's videos covering more of the historical aspect as opposed to the more narrative version. And it just really goes well together. Also, Red does that as well, but I can't binge watch those because I actually want to make videos about it because they're awesome and I like it. And also, I probably could react to Simon Whistler's stuff, but I never wait long enough. That's on me. Either way, links below, video. Hit it up. I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.